All right, welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick for the first breakout watch list of 2022. In this video, I'll be covering 10 stocks that have breakout potential in the upcoming week. This video is sponsored by MarketSmith, which is the trading research platform that we'll use today to break down each of the 10 stocks that we talk about. We'll use MarketSmith to see the stock's fundamentals, group strength, fund ownership, and a bunch of other trading statistics. If you want to try out MarketSmith, there's a link in the description below where you guys can give it a try for 3 weeks for just $20. And one quick disclaimer before we start, this is not stock or financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before trading. Trading comes with financial risk. With that said, let's start with AMBA. It's in the semiconductor group, which is the strongest, number one group out of 197 right now. It's got an A+ group strength rating because of that. C+ accumulation distribution, that's on the lower end, but overall composite rating 98, relative strength rating 98. Whenever those two numbers are in the 90s, it's stock that I want to have at least on a general watch list, if not a focus list. Taking a look at the fundamentals, we have earnings per share up 0%, and then 475, 483, and 533% year over year for each of those quarters. Sales up 9, 28, 58, and 64%. So we have acceleration of sales. And then after-tax profit margin also accelerating 8, 12, 17, and 24. Taking a look at some group information, within the number one strongest group in the market right now, this is the third strongest stock on a relative strength basis and 10th strongest out of 31 on a composite. Last thing we want to check is fund ownership. We want to see this increasing, big money flowing into the stock instead of big money flowing out. And as you can see here, fund ownership has been increasing. September 2020, 361 to 488 this September. So now, where do we find our potential entry point? So I really like how this came off the 50-day moving average. It broke underneath, and then when we got that rally in the market, this rallied back over the 50, back over the 21, and the 8-day EMA. Really strong move throughout here. And then, as it was kind of expected, after a move like that, we want to see some consolidation, a light pullback, and we saw the light pullback get respected right at 200, a nice round number there. So buying support came in at 200, and now we have the 8-day EMA also right around that area. So it's well supported on the downside. As a potential entry point, looking for a break over Thursday's high, which is 207.20. Next, we have APP. This is in computer software enterprises. 92nd strongest group out of 197. Not as strong as we'd like to see. That's a B- group strength rating. Also has a B accumulation distribution, composite rating 77, but a relative strength rating of 94. So nice to see at least that is in the 90s. I always shoot for stocks with relative strength rating 85 or above, unless it's an IPO, because that could be a little bit different there. So 94, nice to see. Earnings per share, we had negative, then plus 167, plus 104 year over year. Sales up 83, 132, 123, and 90. Really strong sales numbers. But after tax profit margin still needs some work, needs to improve there. Let's take a look at fund ownership. We only have 2 quarters to work with. This doesn't include December's fund ownership. We'll get that in a couple weeks here. But January 115 to 137, so we are seeing fund ownership increasing in the stock. And then taking a look within that group, again, B- group strength rating, but within the group of 44 stocks, this is the strongest group on a relative strength basis and 7th strongest on a composite basis. Let's see where we could potentially enter this stock. So right now, it's under the 50-day simple moving average, and if you've seen my videos before, you know I do not want to be buying stocks under their 50-day moving average. But what we're seeing here is this gapped up on, let's see, what day is this? October 7th, put in a low at 80.05, excuse me. So when this pulled back, when the market got very choppy and started to roll over, I wanted to see if this got supported at 80, and it did, 81.45, and then 81.05. So that was the first checked box. Then we made a little bit of a rally, pulled back, and now we're tightening up again. Now if we go to a 30-minute chart, so each one of these kind of candles are 30 minutes, you can see this nice tight area right around $95 flat. So a break over 95 is where I'll start my position, and then a break through the high on Friday, which was, let's see here, 95.80 is a potential add spot, and then your stop is just going to be under the lows here, around 93.70. This is APP. Next, we have a stock that I traded a couple weeks ago, DDOG. It's in computer software enterprises, 128 out of 197. Another one that's not in a very strong group right now, but it's holding up well individually. Let's see, C accumulation distribution rating, that's low, but overall composite rating 90, that's good, and a relative strength rating of 97. Again, both of those are 90s. We want to have it on a general watch list. Looking at fundamentals, earnings were up 100%, then flat, and then 80% and 160 year over year. Sales up 56, 51, 67, 75. Nice strong sales numbers, and after-tax profit margins also increasing by about 11 to 16% each quarter. Taking a look within that group of 120 stocks, this is the number one strongest stock in that group, which if we have a C- group strength rating, we definitely want to be targeting the top 1 to 3 stocks in that group. So number 1 on relative strength, number 3 on composite. Nice to see there. Fund ownership has been accelerating pretty rapidly here, going from 710 in September of 2020 to 1,097 in September of 2021. Let's take a look at the chart. Like a lot of stocks, they did break the 50-day moving average when the NASDAQ and S&P 500 also broke under that key moving average. But we had a nice rally up, tightening, and a nice shakeout day on, that would be Wednesday, under the 8, 21, and the 50-day moving average. But after that shakeout occurred, it rallied back up and closed above all those key moving averages. And then we had 2 sideways days on very, very light volume here. So we're just going to be using Thursday's high as a potential entry point, which would be 181.70 here, right through this area. Now, let me change the temporary line. So we have seen some selling when we get up to this area. So what I would like to be doing is get my position on a little bit lower and then possibly trim in this area, but really start to focus when I see the stock come back up to around 185. Because once, twice, 3 times, once it gets to 185, sellers have been stepping in. So is this an area to sell into? I'll probably take a portion of the position off into that area just to book some profit. But then if we could break through that area that has been previous resistance, that would be a good sign for the stock. This is Datadog DDOG. Next, we have Ford, which is in a very strong group, auto manufacturers, 10th strongest group in the market out of 197. That's an A+ group strength rating, accumulation distribution, B, composite rating 86, and overall relative strength rating of 98. Very strong. Taking a look at earnings, up 183, 487, 137, and then minus 22 this most recent quarter. Also minus 5 in sales. So you would think this most recent quarter probably would have pulled the stock down, but we actually got a gap up and an unfilled gap up showing good strength on that. So must have guided the stock higher, even with a little bit lower earnings in the most recent quarter. Let's take a look within the group of, again, 10th strongest stock, or 10th strongest group right now. Second strongest stock within that group of 31 stocks on a relative strength basis, and number 6 on a composite basis. Fund ownership check did decline in September of 2021, but that really, that's September of 21 through here. We've had a lot of large volume up days since then, so likely we'll see the December numbers come out a little bit higher, back in a nice uptrend for Ford. Potential entry point would be a break over $21. You saw that fail once, twice, 3 times this last week. Very, very light volume, holiday volume, but a break over 21 is where I want to be interested in the stock. This is Ford. Semiconductors have been the leading group in the market right now, so we want to focus on stocks that are meeting our buy point criteria, but also in the strong groups. GFS does that for me. It's got obviously group strength rating A+. It's in semiconductors, which is the 12th strongest group out of 197. Accumulation distribution A-, composite rating 92, relative strength rating 97. All checking all the boxes here. IPO'd this year. Earnings does not have the earnings really up until this most recent quarter, plus 111. Went from a negative to a positive for the first time there. Sales, negative 27, plus 3, plus 23, plus 56. So we're starting to see acceleration of sales. Then after-tax profit margin went from negative 50, negative 9, negative 2 to positive 2. So really starting to see this turnaround on a fundamental standpoint. Don't have any fund ownership information just yet because it IPO'd after September. So we wouldn't have any of that information just yet. They would not be able to take a position. Within the group of 40 stocks, again, A+ group strength rating. This is the 4th strongest on relative strength and 15th strongest on a composite basis. Whenever you get an IPO, you want to look at a smaller chart, so 30-minute to really dive down into it. We see this area fail at the end of the day on Friday. Again, light volume, closing out the end of the year too. So I'm just looking for a break over the high. Let me actually go back to the daily chart to see. Break over Friday's high would be 65.55. That's a potential entry point. You see how this is really starting to tighten up and riding that 8-day EMA higher on the daily chart. Going back to the 30-minute chart, you can see how this is starting to tighten up in here, flag out nicely. We just want to break over that area, 65.55 for GFS. Next, we have another semiconductor stock in a slightly different group, but still in the semiconductor range. In semiconductor equipment, 21 out of 197. A group strength, B minus accumulation distribution. Overall composite rating, 99. Doesn't get any stronger than that. And a relative strength rating of 94. So another one with 2 90s, relative strength and composite rating. Keep it on a watch list. Earnings per share up 22%, 56, 62, 53. Sales up 9, 27, 32, 35. And after-tax profit margin improving about 31% year over year each of the last 4 quarters. Take a look within the group of 32 stocks. This is the 8th strongest on relative strength. That just shows you how strong the group is. If a 94 relative strength rating is only the 8th strongest in that group. And overall composite rating, number 1 out of 32 there. Fund ownership on this has been steadily increasing from September 2020, 1944 to September of this year, or I guess last year now, 2259. I really like how this broke out on when the market was bouncing last week, and then we pulled back on very, very light volume, and we're sitting just above the previous resistance. So we're pulling back on light volume above the previous resistance. So with this, I'm trying to get my money into this one of the strongest groups in the market. This is proving it's one of the strongest stocks in the market because it made a new high, and then we've pulled back gently. Just looking for a break over Friday's high. That would be 431.93 as a potential entry point for KLAC. Next, we have MRAM Technologies, also semiconductor, 12th strongest group out of 197. That's an A+ group strength rating. Accumulation distribution on this is a B and an 88 overall composite rating paired with a 99 relative strength rating. For earnings, we were negative, and then plus 150, plus 119 year over year. Sales, plus 3, plus 2, 0, then plus 46. After-tax profit margins, negative, and then plus 6. This most recent quarter saw that breakout. We gapped up and then really held that gap up, proved it had institutional demand as 1, 2, 3, 4 days followed through on that move. Since then, the market rolled over. This pulled back, and we're starting to build out the right side of the flag here. But I guess before I get into the charts, let's just check within the group of 40 stocks. This is number 1 on a relative strength basis because it has the strongest relative strength, 99, that MarketSmith gives. But composite rating, this is middle of the road just because it's just starting to be profitable here. So going back to the chart, you can see we had a really nice shakeout on Thursday under the 21 EMA. We reclaimed that and closed basically at the high of the day from Thursday, and we're starting to tighten up here. If I can go into a 30-minute chart, you can see this a little bit more clearly. Here's the shakeout right at the open, and then, or not at the open, sorry. Nice shakeout, reclaimed that, tightened up, and we're starting to round out this bottom here. So I'm just looking for a break over 1145 as a potential entry point for MRAM. Next, we have Marvell Technologies, another semiconductor, number 1 strongest group in the market out of 197. A+ group strength rating because of that. B+ accumulation distribution, 99 composite, 97 relative strength. Awesome. Earnings up 71, 61, 62, and 72 quarter over quarter, or year over year, excuse me. Sales up 11, 20%, 48%, 61%, and after-tax profit margins improving by about 25% each of those quarters year over year. Within the group of 31 stocks, this is number 7 on relative strength with a relative strength rating of 97. That's why it's the number 1 group in the market right now. But this is the number 1 composite rated stock within the group. Fund ownership also increasing on this, going from $13.75 last September to $17.59 in September of 2021. This also kind of pulled back with the market the last 4 trading days to end 2021, but we do have a nice 3-day pivot to work with. So a break over, let's see, what's the highest in there? $88.99, call it $89, and then a potential ad spot from 89 would be a clean break into 90. So 2 potential entry points for MRVL. Got 2 more stocks for you, so if you guys are enjoying the video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I make this breakout watch list every Sunday morning and then also go live either Tuesday or Wednesday night depending on how the trading week is going. Next we have ONON. This is in retail, apparel, and shoes. So 136 out of 197. Doesn't have the group strength that we want. Also D, accumulation distribution, 65 composite, that's on the lower end, and 81 relative strength. So Nick, why are we talking about this? This is a name that I traded profitably a couple times in 2021, and it's starting to build under its 50-day moving average, but starting up the right side of that base, maybe a little early in the base, but wanted to put it on your radar because I don't think this is a stock that's talked about much on Twitter, and when it does get going, it does have that breakout potential. Taking a look at fundamentals, earnings per share was up 200%, then we went negative, and then plus 100%. Sales up 108, 89, 89, and 66 year over year. After-tax profit margin plus 11, plus 1, plus 1, plus 6. Within the group of 34 stocks, it's 13th strongest on relative strength and 15 on composite. And fund ownership, we only have 1 quarter to work with, 197 funds in the stock here. What I'm looking for is a break over $39. We saw it fail once, twice at that area. Ideally, it does build out under that area for another week, 2 weeks maybe, and that would improve the trade probability. If it breaks over 39 and I do decide to take it, this is a name that I want to be very quick with moving my stop to my entry point, take the initial risk off the trade, because looking back at when I traded it a couple times in 2021, it worked immediately. If it doesn't work immediately, I want to get out immediately and protect my capital, especially because we don't really have the group strength or the fund ownership, we don't have the group strength, we don't have the accumulation distribution, and it's still under the 50-day moving average right now. So we want to act a little bit quicker with it and protect our capital, but wanted to put this on the watch list. ONON. And last we have TREX. This is in building construction, 13th strongest group in the market. I haven't traded a stock in this group in a while, and I really wanted to get some money into the group, and this is the best this is the best stock chart that I could find within that group, so I wanted to put it on your radar. It's got an A+ group strength rating, 99 composite, 95 relative strength. That's awesome. Earnings up 19, 17, 29, and 56 year over year. Sales up 39, 29, 41, and 45. And after-tax profit margin, 19, 20, 20, and 22%. So fundamentally doing all the right things. Taking a look at fund ownership on this, it has been steadily increasing up until March of 2021. And then we pulled back 752, 733, 722, but that's through September. Since September, we've seen a couple of large volume breakout days, a gap up that was unfilled, showing good relative strength, and then another run up. So I'm guessing fund ownership will be increasing come our December numbers, but we'll take a look at that in a couple of weeks. Within the group, again, A+ group strength rating, 13th strongest group in the market. 41 stocks make up this group, and it's the 5th strongest on relative strength and number 1 on a composite basis. So strong stock in a strong group, setting up nicely, stock that I want to have on the watch list. Last week, 2 weeks ago, like many stocks, broke out back over the 8-day, back over the 21. This stock never even tested the 50-day moving average. So when a bunch of stocks were pulling back and breaking the 50-day, along with the NASDAQ, along with the S&P 500, this never even tested that, showing great relative strength. Slight pullback on light volume under its 50-day average volume. And now we're just working with a break over either Wednesday or Thursday's high of 136.35 as a potential entry point. You could take it if we open up lower and then take out Friday's high during the day on Monday. Then a break over 135.46 is also valid for TREX. And that's going to be the first breakout watch list video of 2022. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Big thanks to MarketSmith for sponsoring the video. If you guys enjoyed the trading platform and all the research that comes with it, there's a link in the description below where you guys can try it out for 3 weeks just for $20. Otherwise, have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday night for the live stream.